guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a ranking the movies that I watched in November. So how I'm planning on doing this is I'm going to group each set of movies under their ratings, and then I'll talk about them that way, rather than trying to rank every single specifically oh, this one, these are 5 stars, this one's higher than this one. I'll just do them as a group, and yeah, just to sort of give a general idea of the movies that I watched, where I what rating I gave them, whether it's a first time viewing or not. So yeah, so I have my notebook, I've got some YouTube ideas, so future video down the line. But yeah, so for November, I managed to watch 18 movies, so I was pretty happy with that. My ratings go from 3.5 stars to 5 stars, and it's obviously a mix of first-time viewings and rewatches as well. So, which, even though as I start this, it's 2 first-time viewings. So, starting off with the 3.5 stars, the first one that I have is Melody Time. This was part of my attempt to watch all the Disney movies, ideally before my trip to Disney World in a few years, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm starting with the animated classics, so this one is the 10th one. And I'm not gonna lie, the last few have been a bit of a struggle to get through, just because they've all been anthology movies, and I know at this point in time, Disney needed the money to be able to finance the future films, but I'm glad this is the last major anthology movie for at least I think until Fantasia 2000. I think that's the next one, but I have a bit to go before I get up to that one. But yeah, Melody Time was alright. It was interesting, with doing the folk songs aspect. Probably my favourite segment was the Johnny Appleseed one, and I also like the Winter Wonderland segment. But yeah, I'm just glad that it's moving, after another one, it's actually just a straight out Disney feature that we all know and love. So yeah, so that was the first one. And then I did watch Red One at the cinema. I think I'm in the minority where I actually did like this one. Yes, it was stupid, it was ridiculous and over the top, but I knew what I was getting into. Going to see a Christmas movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And that's exactly what I got out of it. I had a fun time, and I could see myself rewatching this one in future Christmases. So yes, it wasn't anything spectacular, and very much I'll leave your brain at the door, but I enjoyed it. So, and then we move into the 4-star movies. The first one is The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. This was a first time viewing for me, and it's the sort of before the last one from the 1937 to 1949, I believe it is, because Cinderella came out in 1950, so it's the last one from that particular era of Disney. And overall, I did like this one because I gave it 4 stars. I did prefer the Mr. Toad story to the Ichabod one. I mean, it was interesting seeing a Disney version of the Sleepy Hollow, but I loved Mr. Toad as a character, and he's definitely become a more recent favourite, so I loved watching that one. It was just a fun, whimsical adventure, and yeah, I loved the Mr. Toad story. The Ichabod one was interesting because it was Ben Cosby, who was doing the voice. So obviously I know his voice, and his music and that. So it was a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. Seeing I'm so used to White Christmas and Holiday Inn and musicals like that, but seeing him in a voicing a Disney movie was a bit weird as from that. But I did watch it, so that was another Disney classic on my list to watch. And then I finally got to a back catalogue movie in my collection, and I watched Krull. the only thing I knew about this going in was that it had a very young Liam Neeson in it. It was like one of his first roles, I think. And it also had a very young Robbie Coltrane, like Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies. It was also one of his first movies as well. So that was interesting. And also, will say I did actually quite like this movie. It was a fun sci-fi fantasy. I know it bombed at the box office, so there's no chance of a sequel, even though they did set it up so that there could be a franchise. And yeah, it would have been interesting if this had done well, because it was obviously like very heavily, like you could see the Star Wars influences in this movie as well. Like that was where it was inspired from. I would have liked to have seen more. It was like just a fun sci-fi fantasy tropey adventure, but obviously this movie came out in 1983, so so I don't think there's any plans for a sequel. But on a very shallow note, Ken Marshall was very attractive, or is very attractive. I know he doesn't act anymore, but back in the day, that was like on a very shallow note. I was very distracted by watching him on the screen, but yeah, so I did watch Krull. I've had that in my collection for a few years now, I think, so I was able to tick one of them off the list. Then I also have some Christmas movies in here, because I did start my Christmas watching at the end of November, because I basically went, it's a month till Christmas, I'm going to start the Christmas movie watching. So I do have How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the original animated classic. This has only been something that I've watched in the last few Christmases. I didn't grow up with this one. The closest I got to this one was the scene in Home Alone where Kevin's watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and it's like, you're a mean one when you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch starts playing. That's the closest I've gotten to this story. I mean, I have seen the Jim Carrey live action one. I've watched the one from a few years back with Benedict Cumberbatch. Never watched the original, so yes, I know that I finally corrected it. It's becoming one of those staple Christmas movies. It's very simple, very, true meaning of Christmas type story. I always do, I've been finding I do quite like this one. Then I watched another first time viewing. I finally got around to watching Challenges, which came out earlier this year, but I missed it at the cinema because I couldn't afford to go to the movies for a bit, so I did miss this one at the movies, but I know it got a fair bit of buzz when it came out, and having watched it, I can see why it got that buzz. Like, it was a very good, drama, with the relationships and, the back and forth with, tennis and, the tennis side actually, does take a back seat. It's definitely the relationship between the main three characters, and you wouldn't think there'd be enough, the story would be interesting enough to captivate you for the whole runtime, but it does. And I will say the ending was weird. I didn't quite get the ending. I had to look it up after it because I just sort of went, wait, that's the ending. So I still don't know how I quite feel about the ending, but the rest of the movie was good. So that's why it's sort of in the 4-star categories. I did like it. I'm just unsure about the ending. And then I did a rewatch of Gladiator in preparation for Gladiator 2. It has been years since I've seen Gladiator, but I'm glad I did rewatch it because this is a very good historical epic. And it's just very just with the gladiator fights, the politics, the intrigue, it's just you sort of just get swept up in it, and it's because I'll talk about the second one as well because I gave that one 4 stars too. Having watched them so close together, I think I would say I'd prefer the second one, which might be controversial. But but I really did like the second one. It was just, I don't know, the adventure of it all was just, you just wanted to keep finding out what was going to happen, and it did not feel like 2.5 hours had passed, and it was like there was a lot happening on screen, and yeah, you just you just got sort of swept up in the politics and everything that was happening. And yeah, I really did enjoy the second one, and while it could be argued that it was unnecessary to make the sequel, I think it was still a fun story. And also I did like Pedro Pascal. He was kind of the main reason I wanted to go and see it, because I will watch that man in anything he does. So yeah, and he was very attractive in this movie too, so so I did like sort of like the callbacks to the original, because it's sort of like wondering how they were going to follow on from the first one. But yeah, it was really good. And also the other one I did mention, you can tell Denzel Washington was having a blast with his character, because yeah, I don't know, he was also very mesmerizing on the screen, because he was like really into the chewing the scenery thing. But yeah, it was very interesting, because I find Roman ancient Rome and Roman politics so fascinating. And I know, because I was like, there's 16 years between the two movies, and because I know, like, obviously being a Roman emperor is usually meant to have very short-lived career, because so I sort of just found that whole aspect quite fascinating, because you sort of have the twin emperors, and they're clinging to power, and it's sort of, you're starting to see the cracks beginning to appear. And yeah, I really enjoyed Gladiator too, so basically. And then another Christmas movie I watched was The Santa Claus. This is another one that's becoming a bit of a tradition to watch. I don't know, I just like it. It's just a fun adventure film. Tim Allen becoming Santa Claus and having to sort of deal with that. It was yeah, I still can't believe that they made like a drug reference, like a drug joke in that movie, where he's talking about oh, I'm used to flying, I lived in the 60s, and I was like, I can't believe that made it past the censors. But because that line just makes me laugh, because it's so random. And yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and the movie's a lot of fun. But this year I want to try to get to the sequels and the TV show that they did a couple of years ago. So I'm trying to make the Santa Claus like my Christmassy franchise that I'm trying to make my way through. So we'll see how I go in December, if I do manage to get there. And then the last 4-star movie that I have to talk about is Jumanji. I did a rewatch randomly. I felt like watching Jumanji one afternoon, and it was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I rewatched the first one. Like, I've seen this the newer ones a few times, but it's been a while since I've just sat down and watched the original. It can't beat the original. One of my favorite Robin Williams performances. It's just, yeah, I just love it. It's, yeah, one of my favorite like 90s movies in general. So yeah, so that's Jumanji. And then I have a 4.5 stars movie, and that was Cinderella. So I have seen Cinderella, but it had been like about 10 years since I'd last watched it. And, you can't get more Disney than Cinderella. It's a classic. Very dark in places. Like, I know the story that it's obviously based on is dark, but that whole scene where the sisters are basically assaulting Cinderella for using their staff, that is still really hard to watch. And you're just sort of going, this is a kid's movie, and yeah, just, they're basically ripping her dress off her, and that scene's just, yeah, really, like, almost difficult to watch at times, because how it's done. And yeah, it's that, but overall I do I do love the story of Cinderella. I love the songs. It's, you know, the a classic, like Disney princess movie, and yeah, I don't know if it would necessarily be one of my overall favorites, because I know I gave it 4.5 stars. I just really do like this one. But it's still a very good Disney movie. So yeah, so now we move into the 5-star movies. The first one that I have isn't actually a movie. It's a concert that was done for Andrew Lloyd Webber's 50th birthday celebration back in 1998. I saw Sunset Boulevard in Sydney at the end of October, if you happen to have caught my Sydney vlog. And yeah, I was in the mood for more Andrew Lloyd Webber, so I put this on and rewatched it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's a bit dated, because a lot of the songs are from his more, because obviously at the time he had like Whistle Down the Wind, Starlight Express, like some of the ones that are not as well known. And like they did have a segment for Sunset Boulevard because they had Glenn Close appearing, because she did the Broadway version, which caused one of the biggest feuds in musical theatre history, which randomly. But yes, I did really like revisiting this one. Yeah, a few of them I'm not as familiar with, but yeah, it was just fun to watch on a random weekend. Then we get into more Christmas movies, and I watched one of my favourite Christmas movies from the last decade, and that is Arthur Christmas. This has been one of my favourites since I saw it at the cinema back in 2011. This is just so much, like, it's just adorable. Like, it's got that great blend of humour, adventure, like, you just want Arthur to succeed in getting this present to this one girl who's been missed on Christmas Eve, and yeah, it's just a great time. I love it. I always rewatch it every Christmas as well. And then we have another first time viewing, and I finally watched Paddington. I watched this one on Netflix because I saw the trailer for the newest one, Paddington in Peru, and it's coming out in January here, and I was basically like, you know what, I'm going to watch the Paddington movies because I haven't seen them before, and I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. It was adorable, and yeah, it's like basically a who's who of, you know, British acting royalty. And also, randomly, as a Doctor Who fan, I did love Peter Capaldi in this. Didn't expect the pairing, like, Peter Capaldi and Nicole Kidman, but it worked. And then, also, I'm a fan of Ghosts and Horrible History, so Simon Farnaby showing up in a cameo, that entire scene was hilarious. So, but yeah, I just really loved this take on Paddington, even though I don't think I've ever seen a episode of the original cartoon, because I didn't grow up with Paddington. I know. Yeah, wasn't really a thing. I don't know if it was just me not growing up with it, or it just wasn't a thing here in Australia, but yeah, the movie was my first introduction to Paddington, but I loved it, and I definitely want to watch the sequel, so I'll be doing that sometime this month. And then I rewatched Moana in preparation for Moana 2, but I didn't quite get to see it at the cinema. I love Moana. It's one of my recent favorite Disney movies. Would probably be up there in terms of of like overall Disney favorites, but it's just fun. Oh, I'm losing my voice. But yeah, it's a great time. I love the songs. I just love it. It's a beautifully shot film, and yeah, I can't wait to check out Moana 2. Hopefully next week, or no, this week. I'm getting ahead of myself because I finished work this morning, so I'm trying to like do some filming, and yeah, I'm like really tired. So, so yes. So, have Moana. Then we have the biggest surprise for me of the year so far. I have Wicked Part 1, and I absolutely loved it. Which is weird because I hated the book. I thought the stage show was just okay with some amazing songs. But this movie went above and beyond what little expectations I had for it. Basically, my expectations was, please don't mess up Defying Gravity. And Defying Gravity was incredible. And I've had it on repeat since I saw it at the cinema. And I do want to see it again, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I loved it. It's like currently my favourite film of 2024. And I did not see that coming. So... but Wicked was amazing. I absolutely loved it. So, and then the last 5-star movie that I watched in November, that's what I mean, I'm tired. In November was The Muppet Christmas Carol. I started my Christmas movie watching with The Muppet Christmas Carol. I mean, out of my collection, because I did technically see Red One first, but it's fine. Muppet Christmas Carol is perfect. Perfect to a Christmas Carol adaptation. Michael Caine is perfect as Scrooge. I love the songs. I've loved this movie since I was 5 years old, and yeah, sorry, that's because it's one of my earliest cinema movies, like memories. Because I saw it when I think it would have been January 1993. I remember it because the scene where the doorknob turns into Marley, that terrified me. So. I jumped half a mile in the air and spilled half my popcorn, so that was the memory that, like, from the first time seeing Muppet Christmas Carol, so there we go. Random movie memories from Tracy, so. But anyway, that is everything that I watched, and in sort of in a rough order of how I would rank them. I don't know if this videos would be type anyone would be interested in, but I thought it was fun just sort of going over the different types of movies that I watched in the month, and then I'll do it again for December, so see how many movies I managed to get watched then, because obviously coming up to Christmas there'll be a lot more Christmas movies and things, so but yeah, I'm just going to stop it here. So thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.